Okay, let's now move to Pseudomonas. So for the identification of your Pseudomonas aeruginosa, so they are also gram-negative bacilli, but this one is now oxidase positive. Again, in contrary to your Enterobacteriaceae, which are all oxidase negative except for Pleishiomonas, Pseudomonas is oxidase positive. Next, we have your pigments. So Pseudomonas aeruginosa contains a pyocyanin and pyoverdine, imparting a bluish-green color. They grow well on Macanchi agar and their growth is at 42 degrees centigrade. Again, they can grow at 37 degrees centigrade, but their optimum or optimal growth is at 42 degrees centigrade together with Campylobacter. Then, other biochemical tests were also listed as follows. Next, number 38, gram-negative bacilli. And then the TSI reaction is K over A with a gas on TSI. And this one is oxidase positive. So since this one is oxidase positive, we will cancel yung mga Enterobacteriaceae which are all oxidase negative. So cancel natin sa letter A, Escherichia. Cancel natin sa letter B, Salmonella. So we are left with letter C, Pseudomonas, or letter D, Aeromonas. But between Pseudomonas at saka Aeromonas naman po, Pseudomonas is known as a non-fermenter. So that would be K over K because this one is a non-glucose fermenter. While Aeromonas, on the other hand, is oxidase positive and is known to be a glucose fermenter. So the answer here is letter D, Aeromonas. Okay? So review lang po tayo. Ano nga po yung TSI reaction ng Escherichia? Escherichia will have an A over A reaction because it is a rapid lactose fermenter. Salmonella, on the other hand, is a non-lactose fermenter, K over A. But again, they are oxidase negative. While Pseudomonas is oxidase positive, Aeromonas is oxidase positive, but Pseudomonas nga po is K over K, being a non-fermenter, while Aeromonas is a glucose fermenter, K over A. Next, number 39, a gram-negative rod growing on a blood agar plate has colonies with feathered edges and the following characteristics. So for oxidation fermentation test, carbohydrate utilization, it is known as an oxidizer. And then, so it oxidizes glucose. And then it can also grow on Macanchi agar. It is oxidase positive. So automatic hindi na po siya Enterobacteriaceae dito. And the odor is grape-like odor. So alam po natin to, the organism is most likely we have Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Oxidase positive, hindi nga po siya fermenter. Non-fermenter siya but it oxidizes glucose. And then with the characteristic odor, grape-like odor. Next, number 40, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Pseudomonas fluorescens, Pseudomonas putida, Pseudomonas vironi, and Pseudomonas monteli comprise the group known as the fluorescent Pseudomonads. Pseudomonas aeruginosa can be distinguished from other groups in this picture by its ability to grow at. Pseudomonas aeruginosa can grow nga po at 42 degrees centigrade. So we have letter D, 42 degrees centigrade. Together nga po with Campylobacter, Pseudomonas aeruginosa can grow at 42 degrees centigrade. So they can grow both at 37 and 42 degrees centigrade. But their optimal growth is at 42 degrees centigrade. Number 41, a 17-year-old female with cystic fibrosis is diagnosed with pneumonia. A sputum sample grew gram-negative bacilli with yellow smooth colonies that have the following biochemical reactions. So this one is oxidase positive. TSI is alkaline over alkaline. So this is a non-fermenter. Glucose is oxidized here. Hindi po siya fermented. Negative po siya for fluorescence. And lysine decarboxylase positive. Okay, for the case of cystic fibrosis, when you go back to your CC, clean chem, cystic fibrosis can cause nga po over excretion of electrolytes in the sweat gland, particularly sodium and chloride, having a more than 40 to 70 milliequivalent per liter, a borderline of 40 to 70, and cystic fibrosis nga po kapag more than 70 na, which can be measured by colorimetry as well as by your Gibson and Cook pilocarpine iontophoresis. Cystic fibrosis can also affect the pancreas, leading to pancreatic insufficiency, resulting to steatorrhea. And cystic fibrosis din po can also affect the respiratory system, wherein they are susceptible to infection, particularly or primarily with Pseudomonas aeruginosa and secondarily by Burkholderia cepacia. So this one is Burkholderia cepacia, letter A. So the most likely organism is Burkholderia cepacia. Number before we move to the number 42 for Haemophilus species, we just review first yung identification of the Haemophilus organisms or Haemophilus species. So Haemophilus requires the X and the V factor. X factor is your hemine, while the V factor is known as your NAD or nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide or coenzyme 1. So to summarize po dito, no, yung may kailangan ng X at saka ng V factor, that is your those are your Haemophilus influenzae, Haemophilus hemolyticus, and Haemophilus aegypticus. So tatlo po yun ang kailangan ng both X and V factor. Haemophilus influenzae, Haemophilus hemolyticus, and Haemophilus aegypticus. Tapos yung may kailangan lang po sa X factor pero hindi niya na kailangan si V factor, that is Haemophilus ducreyi, while for ang kailangan niya lang ay V factor, this will not require the X factor. Lahat po ng may para. So Haemophilus para influenzae, as you can see here, V factor lang kailangan niya. Haemophilus para hemolyticus, V factor lang kailangan niya. At saka Haemophilus para aprophilus, X factor lang yung kailangan niya. While on the other hand, Haemophilus aprophilus naman, hindi niya kailangan ng pareho, neither the X nor the V factor. Okay? Tapos, beta hemolytic naman po, that is your Haemophilus hemolyticus and Haemophilus para hemolyticus. Sa name pa lang nila, no? Hemolyticus and para hemolyticus, while the rest will not exhibit beta hemolysis. Okay? And then for the ALA naman po, ALA here is your deaminolevulinic acid, which upon reviewing for the porphyrin metabolism, if you can recall, D-ALA or deaminolevulinic acid is a precursor of the hemine, and hemine is your X factor, tama? So precursor ng X factor si deaminolevulinic acid. So ibig sabihin po nun, kapag kailangan niya ng X factor, ibig sabihin wala siyang precursor, wala siyang deaminolevulinic acid. Pero kapag hindi niya na kailangan ng X factor, so pag negative siya sa X factor dito, pag hindi niya na kailangan ng X factor, ibig sabihin nun, meron na siyang presence ng deaminolevulinic acid. Okay? So, deaminolevulinic acid positive yung yung species na yon. So, for example, lahat na may para influenzae, para hemolyticus, para aprophilus, since sabi natin, di ba, lahat na may para, required nila ay V factor lang, they will not require the X factor. So, since di nila kailangan ng X factor, they are deaminolevulinic acid positive. So, positive para influenzae, para hemolyticus, and para aprophilus. And then sa case naman po ng Haemophilus aprophilus, it will not require or it does not require the X nor the V factor. So, dahil di niya kailangan ng pareho na yon, it will, hindi niya kailangan ng X and V factor, hindi niya kailangan ng X factor, ibig sabihin nun, meron na siyang precursor ng X, which is deaminolevulinic acid. So, yun po yung positive sa deaminolevulinic acid. Okay? Okay, so again, that's for the identification of the Haemophilus species. Number 42, which statement correctly describes the X factor? Letter A, heat labile. Letter B, known as hemine or hematine. Letter C, derived from yeast and potato extract. Or letter D, produced by Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, so X factor again is hemine. Hindi po yun yung letter C kasi derived from yeast and potato extract. That's your nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide or coenzyme 1 or basically the V factor. So letter C is actually a V factor yon, yung derived from yeast and potato extract na nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Yung letter D naman po, produced by Staphylococcus aureus, is also your V factor. Tama? Kasi V factor, your NAD is also produced by Staphylococcus aureus. Hence, Haemophilus influenzae that requires both the X and the V factor will exhibit satellitism around Staphylococcus aureus, around the streak of Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, so X factor is also heat stable, while X factor is known as your hemine or hematine. So the answer here is letter B, known as hemine or hematine. That's your X factor. Next, number 43. A small gram-negative coccobacillus recovered from CSF of a 2-year-old child gave the following result. So doon pala may clue na tayo, no? A case of meningitis in a young population, among children, no? So 2 years old. E diba, kung ating re-reviewin, yung case ng meningitis, common among children, 1 month to 5 years old. Common dyan ang Haemophilus influenzae. Now, for Haemophilus biochemical identification, let's check on the requirement, the X and the V factor. So dito po kailangan niya ng both X and V factor. Okay, so kailangan po niya ng parehong X and V factor. Among these, sino po ba ang may kailangan ng X at saka ng V factor? When you check on Haemophilus para-influenzae, again, pag nag-search sa para, ang kailangan niya lang ay V factor. Haemophilus ducreyi naman, ang kailangan niya lang ay X factor. Haemophilus influenzae, ang kailangan niya ay X and V factor. For Haemophilus aprophilus naman, it will not require or it does not require the X nor the V factor. So, ang kailangan or may requirement ng X and V factor among the given choices is Haemophilus influenzae. So, Haemophilus influenzae requires both the X and the V factor. And again, tumutugma nga po doon. So, common cause of meningitis among children is also Haemophilus influenzae. Okay? And then, for Haemophilus ducreyi, no, add lang natin. For Haemophilus ducreyi, again, this one requires the X factor nga po. Haemophilus ducreyi is the cause of chancroid or soft chancre, which is characterized by having painful ulcerations in the genitalia. For number 43, we have letter C, Haemophilus influenzae. Let's now move to your Vibrio species. For Vibrio species naman po, they are gram-negative. They are motile with a single polar flagellum. Hence, their motility is described as darting motility. Kasi meron silang isang polar flagellum, so their motility looks like a darting motility, similar to your Campylobacter. And again, they are oxidase positive, in contrary to your Pseudomonas is also oxidase positive, in contrary to your Enterobacteriaceae, which are oxidase negative. So, Vibrio species po requires increased sodium chloride, so meaning they are halophilic or requires high amount of salt for their growth, except po for Vibrio cholerae and Vibrio mimicus. Again, except for Vibrio cholerae and Vibrio mimicus. TCBS agar or your thiosulfate citrate biosasucrose agar is used po to isolate most of the Vibrio species. Pag counterpart yung TCBS agar, again, this one is for Vibrio. Ang TCBS po, ang kanyang indicator is the indicator in TCBS is bromthymol blue. So kapag may acid, pag mayroon pong fermentation na nangyayari if fermenter po yung organism, if may acid formation, it will turn yellow. Kapag alkaline naman, it will turn blue. Kapag neutral lang, walang reaction, then green. Okay? So TCBS contains sucrose, thiosulfate citrate balsalt sucrose agar. So it is a differential based on the fermenting capacity, so to ferment sucrose. So among all the Vibrio species, only Vibrio cholerae and Vibrio alginolyticus is known to ferment sucrose. So Vibrio cholerae and Vibrio alginolyticus will have a characteristic yellow colonies on TCBS agar, while the rest of the Vibrio will have green colonies. Okay, because Vibrio cholerae and Vibrio alginolyticus are known to be sucrose fermented. Next, number 44, which is not a characteristic of Vibrio cholerae. A, motile with single polar flagellum. Tama naman yun, di ba? Okay. Letter B, oxidase negative. Letter C, ferment glucose and sucrose. Or letter D, positive string test, which is not a characteristic of Vibrio cholerae. So, motile with single polar flagellum, yes, di ba? Darting motility. So, tama po yun. Tama po ba yung positive string test? Tama din po yun, no? So, Vibrio cholerae is known to be positive in your string test using 0.5% sodium desoxycholate, because in the addition of 0.5% sodium desoxycholate, it will lyse the cell wall, the membrane of the bacteria, and then it will denature the nucleic acid or the DNA, hence resulting nga po to a positive string test using or in the addition of 0.5% sodium desoxycholate. Okay, so positive string test. Likewise, Klebsiella is also positive on string test because it is mucoid, because simply it is mucoid, no, yung Klebsiella. While for Vibrio, it is positive for the string test in the addition of 0.5% sodium desoxycholate. Okay. Um, so we are left with the letter B or letter C. Fermenter po ba ang mga Vibrio cholerae? Yes, no? So they can ferment nga po glucose, and Vibrio cholerae ferment sucrose. Kaya nga 'di ba we can differentiate it using your TCBS, thiosulfate citrate basalt sucrose agar. So as compared to your Pseudomonas are non-fermenters. Yung mga Vibrio po, yung mga Aeromonas, they are fermenters. So they can ferment glucose nga po, and in the case of Vibrio cholerae, it can ferment sucrose, hence having a yellow colony on thiosulfate citrate basalt sucrose agar. So tama si A, tama si D, tama si C. Ang mali ay si B because Vibrio cholerae, they are oxidase positive. Tama, they are oxidase positive, which is contrary nga po to your Enterobacteriaceae, which are all oxidase negative, and that helps nga po in differentiating Enterobacteriaceae from others, no? Such as your Vibrio Pseudomonas being oxidase positive. So again, which is not our characteristic, we have letter B, oxidase negative. Dapat po oxidase positive. Number 45, a college student attended a beach party where raw oysters and other shellfish were consumed. The next day, he had symptoms of septicemia. The blood cultures grew gram-negative bacilli with the following characteristics. So again, isang clue dun muna is the raw oysters and other shellfish. Then this one is oxidase positive. Macanchi agar shows a pink colonies. Ibig sabihin it is a fermenter. No? So the most likely organism is here is your Vibrio vulnificus. We have letter D, Vibrio vulnificus. So wound infections and septicemia with this organism, Vibrio vulnificus, are often fatal. Disease is usually associated with the consumption of raw oysters or oyster-related injury. So 45, we have letter D, Vibrio vulnificus. Again, due to raw oysters and other shellfish. Okay? Next, number 46. Cultures for Brucella should be incubated in 5% to 10% carbon dioxide in a humidified atmosphere. Inoculated plates are incubated for up to blank before they are considered negative and discarded. So for number 46, for Brucella blood culture, Brucella po is the cause of undulant fever or Malta fever acquired from milk and dairy products. But for routine culture po, the routine culture lasts for 7 days or 1 week. But for the case of Brucella, the culture should be extended for 3 to 4 weeks. So we have letter D, 3 to 4 weeks for Brucella. Okay? In the case of leptospirosis naman po, where in acute phase, the specimen is blood followed by urine. So, nauna muna ko yung blood testing before yung urine testing for leptospirosis caused by Leptospira interrogans. And so, for the case of leptospirosis blood culture, it is extended up to 6 to 8 weeks naman po. So, for Brucella, 3 to 4 weeks. For leptospirosis, 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? Next, number 47, the presence of clue cells may be diagnostic for. So, ano po ba yung clue cells? Clue cells are squamous epithelial cell studded with bacteria. Tama? Or studded with gram-negative coccobacilli usually. Okay? And the presence of clue cells nga po indicates bacterial vaginosis. And the most common cause of bacterial vaginosis is Gardnerella vaginalis. Letter A, Gardnerella vaginalis. Okay? Wherein yung mga tests involved here is the whiff or sniff test. With ang reagent po ay 10% potassium hydroxide, wherein the positive result in your whiff or sniff test is a fishy amine odor. Okay? And then for the culture medium naman po of Gardnerella vaginalis, we are using your human blood bilayer twin medium. Number 48, what is the ideal specimen for the recovery of Bordetella pertussis? So Bordetella pertussis is the one causing whooping cough, with the characteristic mercury droplet colonies. So this is grown in Bordet Gengu agar, but better medium are your Regan low and charcoal cephalic scene for the recovery of for the subculture of Bordetella pertussis. And the ideal specimen is nasopharyngeal swab. Nasopharyngeal swab. Number 49, on Bordet Gengu medium, Bordetella pertussis appears as letter C, smooth, shiny, resembling mercury droplet. Again, mercury droplet colonies, Bordetella pertussis. Culture media, Bordet Gengu, Regan low, or charcoal cephalic scene. Specimen, nasopharyngeal swab. Number 50 po tayo, rapid assay, useful for the detection of Legionella species is or are. Okay, so for Legionella, common Legionella isolate is your Legionella pneumophila, causing Legionnaire's disease, which is characterized by having a pneumonia-like symptoms. And the milder form of Legionnaire's disease is your Pontiac fever, characterized by fever pero no pneumonia manifestation. And the rapid assay nga po for the detection of Legionella is your urine antigen detection test. So urine antigen detection test and your direct fluorescent antibody test. Okay? So for the urine antigen test, the FDA has approved several methods such as radioimmunoassay, microplate enzyme immunoassay, and rapid immunochromatographic assay for Legionella antigen detection in urine specimen. So again, we have letter C for Legionella, urine antigen detection test, and direct fluorescent antibody test. Number 51, a mixture of slender gram-negative rods and cocobacilli with rounded ends was recovered from blood cultures from a patient following root canal surgery. So first clue, root canal surgery. Given the following results after 48 hours, what is the most likely organism? So upon in the biochemical test, we can see there on the growth on the blood agar plate, there is pitting of the agar. So for the pitting of the agar, it corrodes the agar, meron siyang characteristic na bleach-like odor. This is true for Acanella corrodens. We have letter A, Acanella corrodens. Number 52, gram-positive bacilli that causes occupational disease of butchers, meat processors, farmers, poultry workers, fish handlers, and veterinarian. So this one is also called as the butcher's disease. We have letter B, Erysipelotrix ruchopathiae. Erysipelotrix ruchopathiae is the only H2S producer among all the gram-positive bacilli. So this one is H2S positive. This is the one causing erysipeloid. So again, don't confuse erysipeloid with erysipelas. Erysipelas is caused by Streptococcus pyogenes group A, while erysipeloid is caused by Erysipelotrix ruchopathiae. Again, the only H2S producer among all the gram-positive bacilli. This one is non-motile. So Erysipelotrix is non-motile, but this will show a test tube brush-like growth pattern. So non-motile po siya, pero in the use of a semi-solid medium, we can see a test tube brush-like growth in Erysipelotrix ruchopathiae. Next, we have your Listeria monocytogenes. Listeria monocytogenes or monocytogenes can cause meningitis. It is also associated with abortion, no? Listeria monocytogenes. Listeria is motile, but it is motile at a colder temperature or at room temperature at 25 degrees centigrade, just like your Yersinia. So Listeria monocytogenes is motile at room temperature or at 25 degrees centigrade. It has a characteristic tumbling motility. So when we perform hanging drop, it will show a characteristic tumbling motility for Listeria monocytogenes. And then in a semi-solid medium, we can see the characteristic inverted Christmas tree or umbrella-like growth for Listeria. Okay? One of the ways for us to differentiate Streptococcus from Listeria is through catalase, because Streptococcus are catalase negative, Listeria is catalase positive. Okay? Next po tayo. So again, Butcher's disease, H2S positive, cause of erysipeloid, we have erysipelotrix, Rucho-Pathiae. Number 53 po tayo, culture of a finger wound specimen from a meat packer produced short gram-positive bacilli on a blood agar plate with no hemolysis. Okay, so again, common din siya among butchers nga po. Given the following test results at 40 hours, what is the most likely identification? So this one is H2S positive. This one is the gram-positive bacilli. Meron siya characteristics of gelatin swab na brattle brush growth. So again, the only H2S positive among all the gram-positive bacilli, non-motile po siya. But this one will show a characteristic test tube brush-like growth or battle brush growth. So this one is your erysipelotrix Rucho-Pathiae. So we have letter C. Okay, letter C. Next po tayo. Number 54, cultures obtained from a dog bite produce yellow, tan, and slightly pink colonies on blood and chocolate agar with a margin of finger-like projections appearing as a film around the colonies. Given the following results at 24 hours, which is the most likely organism, tapos meron po siyang on macanthus agar, motility, no growth po siya on macanthus agar. And then, on its motility naman po, sorry for the spacing. No? So again, no growth on macanthus agar, while for motility, it shows nga po a gliding motility. Alam niyo yan, gliding motility, we have Capnocytophaga. Gliding motility, we have Capnocytophaga. Number 55, organisms associated with cat scratch disease. So cat scratch disease is associated with Bartonella henselae and Aphipia felis. We have letter D, Bartonella henselae and Aphipia felis for cat scratch disease. Kapag ang tanong po ay from a from a dog bite, no, or scratch, no, then the answer is Pasteurella multocida. No? Dog or cat scratch or bite. Pero if yung term po talaga is CSD or cat scratch disease, verbatim cat scratch disease yung sinabi, then that is true for Bartonella henselae and Aphipia felis. Okay? So again, that's letter D, Bartonella henselae, Aphipia felis. Number 56, characteristics of the Hasek group or Hackett group of bacteria includes. So these bacteria are associated with endocarditis. They are fastidious organisms. So these are your Haemophilus, Aggregatibacter. We have your Cardiobacterium, Acanella, and Kingella. Okay, so and one of their characteristics nga po being a fastidious, they require 5 to 10% carbon dioxide for growth. So again, they require 5 to 10% carbon dioxide for growth. Next, let's now move to your Bacillus species. So these are gram-positive bacilli, spore-forming aerobically. Again, gram-positive bacilli, spore-forming aerobically, and they also contain a capsule. So aside from the spore, meron din po silang capsule. Okay? So a spore and a capsule. But their capsule is made up of polypeptide diglutamic acid. Kasi usually po yung mga capsule, they are made up of polysaccharide. But for the capsule of Bacillus anthracis and Bacillus cereus, their capsule is made up of polypeptide diglutamic acid. So among all the Bacillus, the most virulent and the agent of anthrax is your Bacillus anthracis. So Bacillus anthracis is non-motile. It is also non-hemolytic. Again, Bacillus anthracis is non-motile and non-hemolytic. And so other than that, we also have lecithinase positive, starch hydrolysis test positive. But most importantly, it is non-motile and non-hemolytic. So again, the most virulent and the agent of anthrax, Bacillus anthracis. So characteristically, the colony here is described as medusa head. So medusa head colonies of Bacillus anthracis. And upon gram stain naman po, we can see the characteristic bamboo pole fishing arrangement or bamboo fishing pole arrangement. And in the presence po of penicillin, Bacillus anthracis is known to be susceptible to penicillin. So it will show a string of pearl appearance. So string of pearl appearance with penicillin, we have your Bacillus anthracis. Next, we have your Bacillus cereus. So kung si anthracis po ay non-motile and non-hemolytic, Bacillus cereus on the other hand is motile and hemolytic. Again, anthracis, non-motile, non-hemolytic. Cereus, motile and hemolytic. Okay, so motile and hemolytic. Okay, it is beta hemolytic. Okay, next po tayo. Bacillus cereus naman po is the one causing fried rice poisoning, wherein the specimen is the food itself for Bacillus cereus. Number 57. To differentiate Bacillus anthracis from Bacillus cereus, we have letter, again, no? Bacillus anthracis is non-motile, non-hemolytic. Bacillus cereus is motile and hemolytic. So that is letter B. Okay? So Bacillus cereus is beta hemolytic on blood agar and motile, while Bacillus anthracis is non-motile on blood agar and non-hemolytic. Non-hemolytic and non-motile. Okay? Next, number 58. Bacillus cereus has been implicated in which of the following diseases? So this one is implicated in fried rice poisoning nga po, wherein the specimen is food itself. So we have here gastroenteritis. Now, Bacillus cereus is gastroenteritis. Fried rice poisoning, or the specimen is the food itself. Anthrax is of course caused by Bacillus anthracis, while pseudomembranous colitis is caused by Clostridium difficile upon intake of the drug or the antibiotic clindamycin. Okay? Causing pseudomembranous colitis. That's for Clostridium difficile. Next, number 59. So we're done with Bacillus. Let's now move to your Clostridium species. So for Clostridium naman po, they are also gram-positive, just like your Bacillus, Clostridium is also gram-positive, but this one is spore-forming anaerobically. So ang Bacillus po gram-positive, Bacilli spore-forming aerobically. Ito naman pong Clostridium, they are gram-positive Bacilli spore-forming anaerobically or in the absence nga po of oxygen. So number 59, the spores of Clostridium tetani are located. So one of the morphological characteristic of Clostridium tetani is that the spore is located in the terminal side. So we have letter C, terminally. Kaya mukha daw po siyang tackhead bacillus, mukha daw po siyang drumstick, mukha daw po siyang tennis racket, having a tennis racket appearance. So Clostridium tetani po is the one causing spasmodic contraction. In layman's term nga po, we have lockjaw. Okay, for tetanus caused by Clostridium tetani. Okay, next we have number 60. Food poisoning due to Clostridium botulinum is often caused by, so Clostridium botulinum po is the most is the one producing the most powerful neurotoxin associated with associated with flaccid paralysis, at common nga po yan sa mga home canned na mga food. Okay? For biochemical test naman po dito, we have your lipase test. So lipase test is positive for Clostridium botulinum. In addition to Clostridium botulinum, lipase test is also positive to Clostridium noivii and Clostridium sporogenes. Again, yung Clostridium botulinum nga po is producing the most powerful neurotoxin causing flaccid paralysis. Biochemically po, it is lipase positive together with Clostridium noivii and Clostridium sporogenes. or sporogenes or sporogenous. Okay? For this one, is caused by home canned foods nga po. So, we have 60, we have letter B, home canned foods. Number 61, which of the following reactions is incorrect for Clostridium perfringens? Clostridium perfringens po is the one causing gas gangrene or myonecrosis. Gas gangrene or myonecrosis. It is non-motile. So, siya lang po ang nag-iisang non-motile sa mga Clostridium species. And then, it is also a fermenter, no, of glucose and they are non-motile. Again, no, non-motile nga po sila dapat. And they exhibit nga po double zone of hemolysis. So they exhibit double zone of hemolysis on an anaerobic blood agar. So pag sinabi po natin double zone of hemolysis, sa loob po niya ay beta, tapos sa labas po yung outer niya is alpha. Hindi po pwedeng pabaliktad, no? Kasi pag yung alpha na sa loob, yung nasa labas ay beta, then that is a case of alpha prime because of refrigeration. So when we say po double zone of hemolysis, dapat sa loob ay beta, then the outer is alpha hemolytic. And that is true nga din po for Clostridium perfringens. Okay? So, aside from that, no, it is also, tama din po yun, it is also lecithinase positive, yung mga Clostridium perfringens. So again, ano yung mga common na characteristic for Clostridium perfringens and their test? So una nga po, lecithinase positive. Letter B, fermenter naman po siya. Again, it exhibits nga po double zone of hemolysis. Okay? And it is associated nga po with gas gangrene or myonecrosis. So, incorrect po dyan is letter C. Because Clostridium perfringens, they are non-motile. Diba? They are the only one non-motile. Okay? Next, number 62. Clostridium difficile is most commonly identified by Clostridium difficile po actually is a normal flora of the gastrointestinal tract. But upon intake po of clindamycin, it can affect the flora of the GIT, resulting nga po to pseudomembranous colitis. And we can culture Clostridium difficile using cycloserine, cefoxitin, fructose agar. Ang tanong po dito is, which of the following is not Clostridium difficile, number 62, Clostridium difficile is most commonly identified by, it is difficult po for us to culture this one. Okay? Hindi po madali din yon. So, kahit i-culture mo, hindi rin siya definitive yung kanyang diagnosis. No? Lecithinase po again is a test for Clostridium perfringens, not for Clostridium difficile. So mali si D, then mali din po si B, no? So the best to identify, no, your Clostridium difficile, no, is through the identification of the toxin. So we have letter A, demonstration of cytotoxin. So 62, we have letter A, demonstration of cytotoxin. Okay, so again, we're done with your Bacillus anthracis versus Bacillus cereus. Anthracis nga po, non-motile, non-hemolytic. Cereus is motile and hemolytic. Again, Bacillus anthracis po is susceptible to penicillin, hence it will show a string of pearl appearance. And then the latter numbers naman, we've discussed yung Clostridium tetani, Clostridium botulinum, and Clostridium difficile and Clostridium perfringens. Now let us move to number 63, which is about your Corynebacterium naman po. So which of the following, number 63, is not a characteristic of Corynebacterium diphtheriae? Okay, so Corynebacterium diphtheriae po is the one causing diphtheria or pseudomembrane formation at the back of the throat. Okay, at the back of the throat. And it is described to be pleomorphic. Tama po yun, di ba? Meron siyang Chinese letter appearance. No? And then it is also It also contains metachromatic granules, yung mga Babes Earns granules present in Corynebacterium diphtheriae. And then, they are also non-motile. Tama po yun. So, ang tanong po dito is not a characteristic. So, we have letter C, spore former. So, they are not spore former. So, yung mga spore formers po, either Bacillus or your Clostridium. No? So, they are spore forming. Aerobically Bacillus, anaerobically Clostridium. Okay. Next, so again, tama yung pleomorphic, tama nga na gram-positive bacillus, tama nga po na non-motile. So, ang mali is yung letter C, spore former. Number 64, on potassium tellurite medium, Corynebacterium diphtheriae produces. Okay? On your potassium tellurite medium or in your Tinsdale medium, Corynebacterium diphtheriae produces. Actually, all Corynebacterium will have characteristic black colonies. No? So, all Corynebacterium will have characteristic black colonies on your or using your potassium tellurite medium. Okay? But hindi po lahat sila merong brown halo. So using again your potassium tellurite medium with black colonies nga po and brown halo. So yung meron lang brown halo, that is true for Corynebacterium diphtheriae, Corynebacterium ulcerans, and Corynebacterium pseudotuberculosis. Okay? Next, we have number 65. Which species of Corynebacterium was characterized in 1976 as multi-drug resistant agent in a variety of clinical infection? So pag the multi-drug resistant diphtheroid or the multi-drug resistant Corynebacterium is your Corynebacterium jacqueum. So we have letter D, Corynebacterium jacqueum. Okay, so again, they will show black colonies nga po. Yung Corynebacterium diphtheriae will show black colonies with brown halo. Remind ko lang din po ulit, may brown halo nga po no, yung mga Corynebacterium diphtheriae, but all Corynebacterium will show nga po black colonies on Tinsdale or potassium tellurite medium. Okay? While for the multi-drug resistant naman po, we have your Corynebacterium jacqueum. So they are multi-drug resistant. Okay, next, number 66, a gram-positive bacillus isolated from the spinal fluid of a 1-month-old infant is catalase positive, beta hemolytic, and bile escholine positive and exhibits a tumbling motility in a wet preparation. This organism is most likely. Okay, so ano ba yung mga clues natin dito? This one nga daw po exhibits tumbling motility, di ba? So, tumbling motility is true for Listeria. Okay? And this one is isolated nga po also in the spinal fluid. So, causing nga po meningitis. So, 1-month-old. So, this can be because of immunocompromised patients. And Listeria can also cause meningitis in immunocompromised, like children, old elders, to infection. Okay. Okay, so this one is true for your letter B, Listeria monocytogenes. Again, Listeria monocytogenes is motile at a colder temperature, just like Yersinia at 25 degree centigrade. No, so they are not motile at 37, but they are motile at 25 degree centigrade. Okay, and then your Listeria nga rin po is known to be camp positive, having an arrowhead zone of hemolysis. But the streak that we use here for your Listeria is Rhodococcus equi. Okay? And then under nga po ng mga semi-solid medium for Listeria, we can see yung umbrella-like growth or inverted Christmas tree. Okay, inverted Christmas tree or umbrella-like growth for Listeria monocytogenes. So again, that is letter B. Okay?